Hi guys. First, let's do an update on my puppy. It's only been a month since the last time I've shown her, and she's literally twice the size that she was before. She's about 2/3 of the way to full grown, miniature schnauzer, and she's a little terror like terriers always are, but she's also a huge little love butt, and I love her. The top 5 books that I'm not going to finish is today's. Today I'm going to do 5 standalones that I started and didn't finish, and 5 trilogies or series where I started or finished the first book, but I'm not going to finish the rest. The first standalone that I started and didn't finish is Dune by Frank Herbert. My brother really likes that book. I know it's a classic for a reason. I just couldn't get into it, so I put it down. Life's too short to read books you don't like, so I'm going to read books that hopefully I do like. The second one is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. It's the first in the Song of Ice and Fire series. I know that's a series, but I only started the first book and I didn't finish it, so I'm counting it as the single book. And I just can't get into that super wordy, you know. My dog's playing with a squeak toy now. Sorry about that. I just can't get into the super wordy, traditional fantasy, J.R.R. Tolkien kind of stuff. Like, I just think it's overly wordy. If you can say what you need to say in fewer words, say it in fewer words. That's just my opinion. The third book I started and didn't finish is The Diviners by Libba Bray. And that's honestly the book that kind of inspired this whole thing. I know a lot of people really like that book, but I just couldn't get into it. I tried 3 times. I read about 50 pages, stopped. A couple months later, read about 50 more pages, stopped. A couple months later, read about 50 more pages. And I just could not get into it. I honestly thought it was pretty boring, but I thought it had huge potential. I thought the premise sounded really good. So I know a lot of people really like that book, and I passed it on to somebody who ended up really liking it. The cover was just so beautiful. That was why I picked it up in the first place. I'm gonna chew on this instead. The first series I started and didn't finish is going to be the Monstrumologist series by Rick Yancey. I did quite enjoy the first one, but there were a couple scenes that were a little too graphic or detailed even for me. And I'm 23 now, so I don't know how they say that's appropriate for teenagers. As a teenager, like, I would have gotten like sick to my stomach at some of those scenes. I can handle, like, you know, Stephen King. I love Stephen King, but some of those are just, oh my god, they give me the shivers even thinking about it. So I did give that to a book to somebody who really loved it, but I'm not going to read the rest of the series. The second one is The Kane Chronicles by Rick Riordan. I love the Percy Jackson series, both of them. I own all of the books in them now. I haven't finished the very last one yet though. But I loved those books. So I had really high hopes for the Kane Chronicles, which is ancient Egypt based. But I just couldn't get into it. I thought it was too slow. It didn't pick up quick enough. It didn't really pick up at all. I didn't quite make it to the end of the first book. I got maybe 3/4 of the way through. And then I just picked up another book to start reading and never looked back. Gave it to somebody who hopefully liked it more than I did. The third series is The Mortal Instruments, The City of Bones. I didn't even finish the first book. I didn't even get halfway through the first book, and I did give it several chances. I didn't like it really at all. Almost instantly there's a love triangle, which has no good reason to be there. I got about halfway through The Clockwork Angel and I did like it, and I intend to pick that one back up at some point. That's her other series, but the Mortal Instruments, just not for me. Maybe like if I was in high school I would have liked it, but no, not at this point in my life anyway. The fourth one is going to be the Pretty Little Liars series by Sarah Shepard. I am not 100% opposed to picking up this series again. It was a real quick and easy read, but there's just like 4,000 books in that book series, and that is not a commitment I'm willing to get into. I might borrow them from the library or something at some point if I just want something light and fluffy for whatever reason. That's not usually my style, but sometimes light and fluffy is good. So I'm not 100% opposed to picking it up again. It was just nothing special, and considering how many books there are in that series, I'm not willing to make that commitment. And the fifth book series that I'm not going to finish today is Divergent by Veronica Roth. Now that's a pretty controversial one, but I hated the first book. It was only the last like 10 to 15 pages where the climax and resolution were, you know, that little hill we all learned about in English class in middle school where the climax and resolution is going down the hill. And that doesn't have to be a solid half of your book, but it should be more than 10 pages. I didn't particularly connect to any of the characters, but even beyond that, it was just the climax and resolution. I just could not get over how quick that was. The movies are really good though. I have really liked the first two Divergent movies, so I will definitely finish watching the movies. I just won't read the books. And an honorable mention, which maybe I shouldn't even mention at all, is the City of Dark Magic. I didn't know this was a series when I picked it up. I don't know if any of the other books are even out yet or if it's still just the first one. But that book series, it was an okay book. I didn't dislike the book overall. I liked the premise. I liked that there was a relatively strong main character, but it's written by two women, writing as a man, writing as a woman narrator. And that is exactly how it reads. If you can picture that in your head, that is exactly how it reads. Women pretending to be a man, pretending to be a woman. So it's like, what? Why? I don't get it at all. But at one point, the main character is raped, only she doesn't see it as rape. She didn't consent to have sex with the person she had sex with. She thought it was somebody else at the time. She wasn't looking at him or whatever. I don't really entirely remember. I just know that she thought it was somebody else. And a few pages later, she finds out it was not the person she thought it was. And then when she ends up getting together with that character, like, she ends up getting together with a character who raped her boyfriend, girlfriend, and she thought it was romantic what he did. She didn't see it as rape, even though she didn't consent to him. And that's something that really, really bothers me. Like, no, it is not romantic. He raped you. You didn't know it was him. How do you think that was romantic? So that's the biggest reason that I'm not going to finish the series. I can't get over that. It makes me so mad. I didn't even pass that book on. Because I didn't want anyone else to read that. Oh, I wasn't raped because it was good sex. Like, no, that's not how it works. Ugh. I'm an angry monster about that. Like, women have to fight for their rape cases or sexual harassment cases to be taken seriously, and that doesn't help. I know multiple people who have been raped, and I just can't, okay? So I'm really, really trying to get back into making videos. Honestly, I've been in a reading slump lately, and I think I've already brainstormed some ideas for future top 5s. This one wasn't really a top 5, it was kind of a top 8.5, I guess. Okay, so if you read any of these books, let me know what you thought. Are there any books that you started and didn't finish? What were they? Let me know. I want to talk about bad books. So I like talking about good books, but sometimes you just want to talk about the crap, right? Get angry. Okay, so I'll hopefully see you guys soon. Bye!